Hi there and welcome along to another edition of What's the Word in association with Ladbrokes. Joining me this week, got Johnny Ward down the end. He's in a mad rush. He's going to catch a dry train to Galway, aren't you?
No, I'm on the boozy train.
Well,
actually,
got in there early.
Yeah.
Well, any time after 4:30 and you can't drink, is that it?
Yeah, I think the train after as well. Even though there and for some reason have decided to forego money by, not selling booze in the train. Which seems a bit strange. I mean, they could have a carriage that you can drink on anyway. It's a Friday evening.
Like a carriage.
Well,
just imagine him and all the Galway United fans going ape on the carriage.
You know the way they have silent carriages in England and all that? They have a drinking carriage.
Like, dry and a wet carriage.
The train to Belfast, there's actually like a bar where it's proper, like it feels like you're in a bar carriage. And I like that. You look out the window rather than beside the window. And you're kind of like, it's like bar stool kind of scenario. Yeah.
Also joined by James Mordaunt and David Jennings as well. We're Johnny's thoroughly well versed in the public transport world, but how are you? You alright?
Yeah, I can drive.
I
just don't.
Yeah, driving around to Cheltenham preview. How many Cheltenham previews can we do next?
I have a few, yeah. I think actually I said this to Johnny. This year Cheltenham preview is actually going to be more interesting than other years because you have to dig a little deeper. There's a lot of races that are 5-6 to 1 the field, whereas previous years there's been short price favourites.
I fancy Min, I fancy Duvan.
Yeah, and it's really easy. So this time we'll get to see the proper points.
Yeah, you get to a bit more wheat from the chaff.
Yes.
Few handicap there we go. A few more handicap entries, by the way, are out. All 897 of them. You had a little look. Obviously not the weights just yet, but
yeah. Obviously, I think the weights are out on Thursday. I think mid next week. A few obviously. Eurodel is the one that he's the buzz horse at the moment. Few Shrewdies on at 20s for the Coral Cup. Then First Assignment I like in the Pertemps final. I think his form is working out really well with Paisley Park. I fancy something in all the handicaps, to be honest. It'll be just interesting to see when the weights come out.
Yeah, James, you said you were on a podcast there during the week and you got a few little snippets.
Yeah, well, Robbie Power seems pretty keen on Walk to Freedom in the Coral Cup, and I just having a look there, not what I am in the Pertemps, and Felix Deji was an interesting entry in the County Hurdle, I think.
Yeah, good stuff. Go on, Johnny. You've been combing over these a little bit, or
I like Eurodel. I backed him, and I actually like any second now going into the novice race. He was favoured in last year and disappointed in. He's probably a horse that's. I'm not 100% convinced by him myself, but he's probably a horse that gets a bit of unfair criticism. I think he's been run over the wrong trip. Geno fancied him for the big race at Leopardstown when he ran very well. Like and dropping back into another sort of 3.5 furlongs. He's about 14-16 to 1 for that race, and I honestly can't see what else he'll run in. If they step him up to 3 miles, I don't think that works, to be honest. So second season novice in that race has a bit of experience as well against the novices. So I love the handicaps at Cheltenham, I have to say, particularly once you get the non-run and no bet angle, it's really excellent. But as Geno says, the handicaps and they're nearly as open as the graded races this year. It's just a strange.
Yeah, it's such a depth. Like I say, we'll find out who the judges are in about 4 weeks' time. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the action on Saturday then. Plenty of Cheltenham clues, of course, over the course of the week. We'll start with Kempton and the 150. James, have a few prices for the Pendil novices chase at 150.
It is Secret Investor priced up at 5-2. It's Bags Groove at 11-4. Goodman Pat at 5-1, and Castafiore at 5-1. Just the 4 of them run.
Oh, just looking at the market there for the Pendil novices chase, what would you like to look at here?
I'd be very sweet on Secret Investor here, and there'd be people screaming at screens saying, sure, Secret Investor was beaten 9 lengths by Bags Groove already this season, but Bags Groove in the last 2 seasons, his form has tailed off a little bit, and I think that could be the case this year. Secret Investor, that was his first run over fences at Wincanton in a grade 2, which was interesting to see him thrown straight into a grade 2 by Paul Nicholls. He's £5 better off now. I think that was a rock solid run behind OK Corral at Warwick. 12 of before the show, 12 of Paul Nicholls' last 36 runners had won, and Secret Investor just strikes me as a type. He hasn't had that much racing. He's unexposed over fences, and I think he's on an upward curve. Whereas I wouldn't be surprised if Bags Groove is on going the other direction. So Secret Investor for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Nicholls, incredible last Saturday as well. Johnny, you at Secret Investor here?
I'd go with Bags Groove. I just think he'll get a soft lead. Nicholls had his 3,000 winner Capitaine during the week. He's in unbelievable form, but Bags Groove, the ground was probably a little bit on the soft side from the last in a hell of a race behind Santini, and this ground is
behind
just
Santini.
Santini
finished third.
He was behind them though.
Yeah,
he was behind them though.
Technically, you're correct.
And the ground here would be more to his liking. He is an 8-year-old, so Geno's point, like he's one of the elder statesmen in the race, and he mightn't be improving as much. But I just think he'll get a soft lead. Basically, he has to give them weight as well. But tentative pick. The ground is going to be lovely at Kempton, I'd say.
Yeah, let's move on to the Adonis hurdle then at 225. Regularly a good trial for the Triumph, although maybe not this year with Sir Eric, who looks very solid. But how do you bet for this?
It is Fusel Raffles in at 4-1, the favourite. Giving Glances at 9-2. Red Force 1 at 6-1 and Echo at 7s, and it's 8s bar the top few.
Yeah, Nicky Henderson does like send a decent 4-year-old to this. What do you make of this Fusel Raffles?
Yeah.
Fusel Ruffles, beg your pardon.
Yeah,
Raffles.
I don't know what to make of him. Sure, we won't know. He's come from France. He could be anything. Alan King has won the last 2 runs of this race with Master Blue Eyes and Redician last season. And I'd say Giving Glances is probably just the best of his. She was bitterly disappointing at Aintree earlier on the season. She bounced back to form at Doncaster. I'd say she's pretty good. But the form of that Doncaster race, that Lister race, worked out really, really poorly. The 3rd and 4th have been well beaten since. If I was to have a free bet in the race, I would probably back Giving Glances. But for me, it's a no-bet race because there's too many questions to be answered. But Johnny Ward, who I spoke to before the show, fancies a sneaky one.
You fancy one in the
Well, if
in
she's
the
good
Adonis?
enough, if she's good enough to win this genuinely, because the novice or the 4-year-olds don't look much good over there, but like this is an awful indictment if she's good enough to win, because as that Doncaster, that race is bang average in the context of this. But Geno's right, like there's really very little between a lot of these. This horse Peguero that ran in Cheltenham. What's very interesting here is JP McManus had the second in the race, but also bought the winner afterwards, and they have JP and obviously Joseph have a stranglehold on the 4-year-old. This horse is 33-1 tomorrow. He was actually a decent horse in the flat. He probably ran to about 90 on the flat looking at his French form, and he shaped way better than the bare result the last day. He travelled okay, a bit keen, and he was once he made, I think he made a mistake the second last, he was kind of eased off by Barry Garrity then. But he's buying Nathaniel, a horse, a stallion I'm a big fan of, and I'd say he could progress. You're wondering if they're trying to get him handicapped or not, but if he's come on from his one the last, he definitely could have a good chance.
I think he's a chance as well.
Yeah, huge price. Round about 33-1 for this one, right down the bottom weights. That's Peguero. Right, let's move on to the Dovecote then at 3 o'clock. James, you got some prices for that?
Yeah, well, we're really looking forward to this, to see Angel's Breath finally out again at 4-5. That is your favourite. Scarlet Dragon at 11-4. Southfield Stone 8-1. Rouge Vif is at 9 and 10s bar those.
You with Angel's Breath here?
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't seen much of him, so it's...
He's only jumped 4 hurdles in public. I think it's 64 days since we've last seen him. This is a big race for me because I'm pretty sweet on Mr. Fisher in the Supreme.
Yeah.
And this will tell me all I need to know about Mr. Fisher, because obviously Angel's Breath is trained by Nicky Henderson, and all the vibes coming from Seven Barrows are that Angel's Breath is their #1 Supreme Hope, as the market tells you. I think Mr. Fisher is better than him. We will get a line on Mr. Fisher through Rouge Vif, trained by Harry Whittington, who I think is a proper horse. He's rated 142. He won last time at Doncaster, but he was very workmanlike, look beaten, traded big and running, kind of fought back to win. I think Kempton will suit him. He was second to Mr. Fisher in what I thought was one of the strongest novice hurdles run this year at Kempton on St. Stephen's Day. Thomas Darby was third. So Mr. Fisher won that convincingly from Rouge Vif. If Angel's Breath can beat Rouge Vif as convincingly, then we'll know what they're talking about. But I think Mr. Fisher is a better horse than Angel's Breath, and for that reason I'm going to tip up Rouge Vif each way here. I'd be really disappointed if Rouge Vif doesn't finish in the first 3. Loads of pace, jumps well, battles. I think he's rated 142. He mightn't just quite deserve that, but I think he'll finish in the first 3.
Yeah, maybe even without play. What about you, Johnny? I mean, the Angel's Breath and the whole Supreme thing with Al Dancer in there in the same ownership, it kind of muddies the waters a little bit,
It's
doesn't
just based on, he was very good, obviously, his sole run. How good is he, Geno? I don't know. Will he want further? Probably. But I did like the run of IK Brunel when he was seen in Cheltenham, which was back at the November meet, or rather in December. He was behind Alexia the Nuts. That form has worked out well. And this horse hadn't actually run over hurdles. I remember watching him on the day, and I was like,
Are you going for a monster Barry Garrity each way double here? Like,
yeah, well,
I think Brunel and
probably doesn't
Peguero.
ride that much for Ollie Murphy either, but for Ollie Murphy to put him into that race at Cheltenham with so little experience, and he said afterwards, like, this horse is a really, really nice horse to future. So he's what, 100, what have we got now? Is it 14th of December? So he's had 2 months to get over that and to mature.
Yeah.
He's going to be a horse that'll stay well. And I really liked the way he wasn't knocked about that day in a good race, and very muddling race as well, in which he was held up and was never really allowed to get involved. And he's going to be 16-20-1 each way. So I think Angel's Breath will probably win, but I'm going to go one at a bigger price each way.
Yeah, fair enough. Elsewhere in the cards on Saturday, we'll start with you, John, because you like one in the next at Kempton. That's
Yeah,
3:35.
I do. I was talking to Leon, one of the lads in the office here earlier, and I said, I've come to the conclusion. I studied the Arkle from head to toe
Okay.
on Wednesday, and I think Glen Forza will win the Arkle. I think Larisburg will run well, but I just think Glen Forza, he's come in under the radar. I think he could be a superstar. And if he is the superstar that I think he is, then Glen Rocco has to be winning this big handicap chase at 335. Now, the worry is that he'll go off favourite, because I did a piece in the paper. The favourites in this 335 not just have a bad record, it's horrific.
Okay.
No favourite has won it in the last 10 years, okay? But I think in the last 8 out of the last 10 years, the best placed finish a favourite has had is 9th.
Oh, okay.
Which is incredible.
That's insane.
Absolutely incredible.
So a favourite's due to win this.
Well,
That's
you can judge it by that. But yeah, it's a real bad race for favourites. Gungadoo.
So you're going to tip up the favourite, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, but like this horse was the only horse to lay a finger on Glen Forza in the race on St Stephen's Day. A real good novice handicap chase at Kempton. He's gone up to 137, so he's gone up £12 for winning the last time over course and distance. I think he has more improvement to come. He's only had 8 starts, 5 over fences. To me, this horse should be about 7-4, 2-1. He's 7-2 at Ladbrokes. I'd take that.
That's Glen Rocco in that 335.
Glen Rocco, yeah. And just one other one in the Eider at Newcastle. This Johnny today is the king of tipping up big prices. But I'm going to tip up one here. It's 20-1. You can get 33-1 in places, but he's 20-1 with Ladbrokes, which I think is a good price as well.
On good ground, I think, in Newcastle. Pretty much
decent
good ground.
And the worry is that this horse does need softer ground. But Mystery won the race in 2017 off a mark of 127. Lo and behold, he's back 2 years later off a mark of 127. First time blinkers, which I think is interesting. Loves Newcastle, loves 4 miles. 20-1 for a race like this. I think that's
the thing is,
too big.
well, with the Eider, you really get value for money, don't you? Because on about 45 minutes, just...
Yeah, it's great to see Gavin Cromwell's older Asda Marie in there, 14 years young.
14, again, one of his ground.
33-1 won't have his ground.
Somehow getting slower as well.
Well, if he's been too slow for that race, I mean, seriously.
So Mystery at 20-1
Mystery, yeah, that's just... It's not my type of race, but enjoy the Eider, and if you back the winner, that's magical. Anything else for you, Johnny, around the card? Something in Fairy House?
Yeah, Rock the Bone in the 250. This is such an intriguing horse. His last French run, he was a big price. He beat Classical Dream. And
Nice.
Classical Dream is obviously a Grade 1 winner now. Rock the Bone. I don't know how JP McManus finds these horses to manoeuvre them into handicaps. He's had 6 runs in Ireland since beating Classical Dream, and he's never been shorter than 7-1 and hasn't come very near winning until the last day when he ran a blinder at Leopardstown. Drops back half a mile. John Kiley, master trainer. I can't see this horse not being thereabouts on that form.
Rock the Bone, that's in the 250 at Fairy House. The bumper at Fairy House is an interesting runner as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to tip up a shorty here.
Yeah, and all... Like, I've been out with Gordon Elliott a good few times earlier on in the season, and he knew he had a good crop of bumper horses with Malone Road, with Envoy Allen, with Andy Dufresne. He's got so many of them, but every time he spoke about all these horses, in the conversation, smack bang in the middle was Fury Road, who really disappointed at Leopardstown on its debut under rules. But that race has worked out spectacularly well.
That race is a disaster, like an absolute on the day.
Yeah, there went no pace.
Yeah, he was very keen.
And Allaho, who was just ahead of him that day, is now one of the leading fancies for the Albert Bartlett. Sempo has come out and won since. It's just worked out really well. I'd say it was a good bumper that was not run to suit anybody.
Pace, yeah.
Fury Road, if he's any sort of price, I don't think...
Actually, he's going to be about... There's nothing in the race either.
Yeah.
Willie's had no bumper runners lately. Ground.
Yeah, but I think he's a horse for the future. He probably won't go to Cheltenham, but keep it close on.
Fury Road, that's in the 5:10 at Fairy House. Let's move on to the action. It's Sunday as well. It's going to have Cheltenham Trials Day on Sunday. We'll start with their novices hurdle, the Grade 2 at 3 o'clock. James, do you have a couple of prices for that?
We do indeed. We have 9-4 about Chosen Mate, Jetez at 7-2, Prince Dobrel 4-1, Milan Native at 7s, and 8s are bigger about the rest of the runners.
They're probably better novice hurdles run under a Grade 2 banner, but what do you make of this, Johnny? I think jumping off the page at you.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get the card up here, which is going to delay me if you go
Chosen
first.
Mate, Jetez, political. Our friend from Friday Night Lights, political policy runs. You're hardly going to tip him up.
The intriguing aspect of this race is Gordon turning out the horse that won last Sunday, because this
Milan Native.
He's very, very interesting. I watched that race. I laid the favourites, and I thought the whole way I'm done here. And next thing, Jack Kennedy comes up. The beauty of Navan is if you lay the horse out in front, you might have the hill to save you. but he ended up bolting up.
Oh,
Like,
beat Ray at time.
He was just holding
Yeah.
on to him. Ray at time, admittedly, he's had 3 or 4 goals over hurdles now. He's becoming a bit expensive to follow.
Yeah, he's just too keen. He
keen,
gives himself no chance.
But Duke Shaw went with him and was absolutely destroyed. So I think Ray at time is still very good. And this horse, for them to be turning out, again, it's not particularly strong because of the ground. There have to be better novices than this, but for a horse to do that out of a 2.5 mile bumper, he does have something about him, I think. And I'd be very surprised if he's not shorter than Chosen Mate, who's a very good, inexpensive purchase after winning the point to point. He's done quite well, but maybe I think Milan Native has a bit of a wow factor about him.
You be with Milan Native here?
No, I'd be with Chosen Mate. Like, when Chosen Mate was beaten by Sonori, he still posted an RPR of 141, which I think is good enough to win this race.
Could well be.
Yeah, I think it is. I think Sonori is a pretty, like, Sonori and Honeysuckle now are being kind of talked about in similar terms.
I think they'll be separated at Cheltenham.
I think they will, yeah.
He looked all over the winner jump the last.
He looked all over the winner, and I think it was just pure kind of inexperience, and maybe he just wasn't man enough to win that race. But I think this is an ideal place to come now, and a repeat of that run might well be good enough, although I do appreciate Johnny's point about Milan Native.
Anyway, Gordon will win it. We're splitting the difference there on which one it is. Into the Grade 3 chase then at 3:35. Do you have a few prices for this one, James?
We do. It's a small enough field. Cadmium priced up at 5-4. Dr. Phoenix, who won it last year, at 2-1. Tycoon Prince 4-1, and Avonare Doom V 6s.
Kind of has a bit of a feel this could be like Dr. Phoenix's Gold Cup, isn't it? This is the race he wants to win.
This is some bag of tricks in this race.
That's a nice way of
Holy
putting it.
God, it is.
It's disappointing, really.
It is.
It's very disappointing.
Tycoon Prince and Avenir Dunvee, like these jokers just keep coming back. Like
Tycoon Prince has had shocking injury problems on fairness.
I thought Tycoon Prince was going to be the real deal earlier on in his career. I remember he ran the novice hurdle at Aintree. And I was saying to myself, telling everybody, wait and see this horse. This horse is a machine.
He was very keen that day.
He might be a machine, but the machine is breaking down an awful lot. I just think by process of elimination, Dr. Phoenix, as you said, this is Gold Cup. This is bread and butter. 2 miles Naas. Like, you have to remember, he might have beaten Undeso at Fairyhouse last Easter had he not fallen at second last. He's rated 148, £1 higher than Cadmium. I just think he's a slightly better horse than Cadmium, and he's been campaigned this season in races that he can't really win. He's been stuck between two stools. And this is the only race this season where you're going in saying, do you know what? He's got a massive chance, and I think he'll probably take it.
He probably does. It might be tighter between them because the last year was 2-5 and was in a handicap when Cadmium beat him. It was a lot shorter. Cadmium ran well. He's just a younger horse. He just might have his legs at this stage, but I wouldn't be having a bet in this race, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. On to the National Spirit at Fontwell. Graded action from there of a Sunday. 250. This has actually attracted a pretty decent field. James, how did you bet in this?
Yeah, if the cap fits in at 5-2, Old Guard 3-1, Ballymoy at 4-1, and Little Rockefeller, who's had a wind up since the last start, 11-2, and it's 14s.
Few old favourites of yours in here, Jenna.
I think the cap will fit here.
The cap will fit.
I do. I just think he's the younger up-and-coming horse. Like when he won at Ascot earlier on the season, I kind of thought, do you know what, this is a Stayers hurdle candidate. He's obviously been campaigned like
You've
a champion
calmed down
horse.
since then.
Yeah, I've calmed down. But I think this race here for the taking. Like a lot of these are exposed, and he's one that just we mightn't have seen the best of yet. So if the cap fits,
maybe he was entered before the owners lifted their ban on Cheltenham. We talk about that now. Right, if the cap fits.
What about that
Cheltenham ban? What nonsense. Anyway,
Vision de Flow isn't doing much wrong this season, obviously,
No,
ex-Irish. Very, very solid. I wouldn't have a strong view in the race, but if as Geno says, if there is a horse that's going to progress to something special, it will be if the cat fits. Love to see Little Rockefeller run well as well post-wind up.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else for you around the Sunday cards?
just one for me.
Just one?
Yeah,
That is not like you.
I
Come
know. Yeah, in the 4:05 at Naas, it's a 2 mile
I actually
handicap.
really fancy a horse in this race.
Okay.
Okay, on the count of 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Curious Times.
Hey, there we go.
Like it's got a rating of 113. It beat Black Tears at Down Royal. Black Tears has come out in frank to form since. I think 113. I wouldn't have been surprised if it got 123. So that's saying it's got £10.
I couldn't agree more with Geno on this. This horse could be. He's had basically 2 goals at 2 miles on nice ground over hurdles. The last day, Black Tears, White says she's going to the Mayor's novice at hurdle at Cheltenham. Probably very good filly. She came up and looked like she was going
and
to
she
destroy
never
him.
missed a beat that day.
No,
Black
and
Tears.
he just went on tongue tied for the first time that day, and JJ Slevin riding again. And the Crawford horses have definitely come into form. I really, really fancy this horse.
Good stuff.
What could possibly go
What
wrong?
could possibly go wrong? That were my thoughts exactly. Right, we'll get our best bets of the weekend shortly. Then, of course, Ladbrokes best odds guaranteed in the shops early doors. So, Johnny, best bet of the weekend. Give us a treble as well.
Curious Times would be my nap in the 405, the 435 also at Naas Monlino, and I will go for a very speculative third horse at a big price. The Juvenile on Saturday,
Pagano.
the Adonis. What time are we for that?
In
2:25
2:25 at
Pagaro.
Kempton.
Yeah.
Pagaro, yeah. James?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a treble here of Angel's Breath. I think if he's worth the hype, he'll be very hard beaten. That is in the 3 o'clock at Kempton, the 2:25 at Kempton on Saturday. I'm going to go with Red Force 1 for an informed Paul Nichols. And Sunday in that Grade 2 at Fontwell, I think If the Cap Fits is the one that they're all going to have to beat. He said we have a dream behind him twice this year, and I think that will hold up and be pretty decent for him.
Good stuff. Jenna?
My banker of the weekend is Secret Investor in the 150 at Kempton. I also like Glen Rocco in the 3:35 at Kempton, and I'm also going to put forward Chosen Mate in the 3 o'clock at Naas on Sunday.
Good stuff. Make sure you put Wisaic on in all your ACCAs over the course of the weekend as well in the Winter Derby. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.